Top 5 Best presents: Farmers remain silent at auction so young man can buy his family farm back. To make your day just a little bit brighter, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to be inspired by more heartwarming stories like this one every day. All families have a story, some more positive than others. Although not always the case today, children have long inherited their family heirlooms, or of course, places of residence. Back in the day, it was common to simply inherit everything that belonged to your family's past generations, and choosing your own way of life was not often an option. If daddy was a shoemaker, you bet your shoe buckle that you'd be one too. You would take over the family business, all belongings, and be responsible until your own child then took it from you. In recent years, generational vocations have become less commonplace. Oftentimes, a family business is a possession of the wealthy. For working class and middle class people, a vocation that a family can share all of their own is oftentimes simply unattainable. Nowadays, young people are finding their own way towards success, often through education. This is more than fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with finding one's own way. But on the flip side, we can easily forget the difficult situation many family business owners find themselves in. The most common non-corporate family vocation found nowadays is farming. If you're putting things together, you'd realize that farming is currently a difficult vocation to maintain. Corporatization of normally farmed goods have impacted farmers even further, making things that much harder. Many private-owned farms don't make it far in the modern era, but sometimes the goodwill of honorable people can go a long way. David lives in Nebraska, USA. His family has been made of farmers for as long as he could remember, and for decades the land they used belonged to his ancestors. And this should have been the way forward for David. However, one day, an unfortunate decision willed the land to a relative who did not have the family's best interest in mind. David's family's 80 acres of land was sold to a distant relative, and the family's property was all but gone. What they had spent decades building vanished in simply a split-second bank interaction. Throughout his life, David dreamed of somehow getting back the family's land and rebuild their business. Several years after losing the family's land, it suddenly appeared on auction. David and his father decided that they would do their best to collect whatever modest means they had to try and get it back. They spent many days and sleepless nights trying to come up with every possible way to acquire the extraordinary assets to reclaim their land. When the day the auction finally came, their hearts sank. Nearly 200 farmers were gathered. David and his father felt their chances of repossessing their family's land was slim to none. Regardless, they gave it their best shot. When the auctioneer announced their land, they immediately placed their bid and held their breath. Theirs was the first bid, and David and his father anxiously waited to see who would bid next. But suddenly, the room went silent. David didn't understand what was happening, and even the auctioneer was stupefied. He made further attempts to solicit a new bid, but got only silence. Stunned, he called a break. They reconvened 3 times, and each time not a single farmer placed a bid. The auctioneer finally had no choice, and with the strike of a gavel, David and his family had their land back. It felt like a miracle of 200 farmers from Nebraska, USA. Every single one of them knowing what the right thing to do was. David could finally write a happy chapter in his family history book. Today, David remembers the auction that took place in 2011 as if it were yesterday. "I've had 2 profoundly humbling days in my life," he said. "The first day being when my son was born, and the second was that unforgettable day at the auction house." Sometimes, we humans don't give each other enough credit. We tend to see each other as selfish creatures, and in turn, we become a little bit selfish ourselves. But sometimes we can show a unique level of honor and respect for one another, such as in the case like this. It's good to know that there are people out there who are willing to pass on monetary gain in order to aid decent people in reclaiming their livelihoods. Moments like these prove that there are still good people out there who see value in doing good things. Thanks for watching. Tap one of the 2 videos on the screen for another fantastic story like this one.